friends, this is Hedda. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to my May reading journal update. So in this video, I'm gonna set up my spreads in my reading journal for the books that I read in May. But of course, we're gonna start with a cover page. I was just checking to make sure here that I hadn't skipped a page like I did for the previous month. If you haven't watched my April reading journal update, then go check out that one. That's my previous video. So for this theme, I went with an ocean theme. I just got a big package from Paper Monogatari. Thank you so much to Anna for sending it over for me to try. I'm so grateful every time she sends me a package because I love her stuff. And I thought I would combine it with some of my more tropical stickers, like my Mermaid vinyl sticker and also my Thai Girls vinyl sticker. In the end, I went with the Mermaid, but completely different Mermaid stickers, but we'll get to that in a bit. I just wanted to show you some of the stationery that I had kind of lined up for this cover page, because obviously I'm not using all of it, that would be impossible, but I wanted to show you a little bit of what I got anyway. So here are the stickers from Paper Monogatari from her summer collection from this year. There's also washi paper with different patterns. You also saw me show the summer sticker pack from Notebook Therapy with the lemons. I used some of those as well. They're really cute and they've got really pretty gold details. So this is a mermaid sticker that I made for my May setup in my bullet journal last year. So I did kind of a mermaid theme, and I just thought mermaids just go so well with ocean, and I read a lot of fantasy novels, so it honestly just fits the theme of my reading journal perfectly. But these three mermaids were the ones that I really wanted to use. Well, I ended up using two of them. I drew these years ago. There were some of the very first stickers that I made for my little stationery shop, and I've been holding on to like one of each of them for the longest time because I didn't want to like use them. You guys know, if you're collecting stickers, you know it's hard to like use up stickers. I started cutting around one of the mermaids a little bit because I didn't want the white edges, and that was before I remembered that these stickers are actually transparent. I made them transparent back then because I thought that the tails would look really pretty if they were a little bit see-through, just like actual fish tails. Well, a lot of them are kind of see-through, at least at the very end of the fins. So that's why there is no white border around these stickers. They are see-through. So yeah, there was really no point in cutting around it, so I didn't cut the other one. If you've been watching my reading journal videos for a while, you'll probably be noticing by now that this layout for a cover page is a little bit different than what I normally do, because usually I will decorate, I'll have like a main cover page on the left or the right side, and then the main list of books that I've read on the other. But for this one, because I had these pretty long, watery stickers, I think they're from a pet tape. A really sweet girl in Denmark called Trina sent these to me in a pen pal letter, and I've been wanting to use them for a while, and they're just really soft water stickers, I guess, but they are just slightly too long to just be on one page because they are the exact length or width of my journal pages. So because of that, I decided I do want to use them, and I didn't want to cut them in half. So I thought, how can I use them in a way that makes sense? And I decided to have them kind of cross onto the opposite page and still have most of the decoration on the left side, but have it kind of bleed onto the right side, or flow over to the right side, if you will. I mean, it's all about water, right? Also, the notebook I'm using this year is all about challenging myself to reevaluate or like rethink how I make my reading journal spreads, because this notebook has both white craft and black paper. If you're tired of hearing me talking about it, it's just going to get worse. I'm going to talk about it for the rest of the year. But this notebook is from Archer and Olive, and they call this type of notebook a Neapolitan notebook. I think they came up with that name themselves. I don't think that that's, a general term, but it's really fun because it has like each signature is different. and it goes in between, like it starts with white and then goes into a craft black and then white again. And right now I'm in a white section. We just got out of a black section. It's just really fun, and it makes me, like, it challenges me to think differently about the spreads, think differently about colors. And that's a really good thing, because when you've been journaling for as long as I have, it's easy to kind of just get into a routine or a rhythm and just keep doing the same thing. And once that happens, that's when it starts getting a little bit boring maybe. And I never want to feel bored with journaling. So changing things up and challenging yourself, that's why I also use a lot of different sizes of notebooks when it comes to my bullet journal, for example. Like I've used A5s, I've used Traveler's notebooks, both from Traveler's Company and also like Traveler's notebook sized hardcover notebooks. I've used B5. I've used Notebook Therapy's like original size, which is smaller than an A5. So lots of different sizes. The smallest one I ever used was probably a Nuna S. Those are really small. I love the Nuna notebooks though. If they made hardcover notebooks, I'd probably be back to a Nuna in no time. So I'm using a lot of horizontal lines in this spread because I have the water horizontally flowing onto each page. I'm using like longer sections of washi paper from Paper Monogatari, and I'm using horizontal pieces. I'm using washi tape horizontally. And then on the right side of the spread, I have 2 frames. These are the same frames that I used last month, like in my April reading journal cover page, but they just fit so well and they have little shells on them. Like I have blue frames, but they're very blue. They're not turquoise. They're not ocean blue. They don't have any green in them. They're more on the true blue side. And I don't really feel like that fits. I don't like to put the true blue with the turquoise. It just looks wrong to me. So that's why I used these frames instead. I mean, they are brown and there's not really any brown in the spread, but they're more neutral in color, so they fit a lot better. The lemons do seem a little bit random, but I think that they add a nice pop of color, well, more color. This spread is already very colorful. For the title, I decided to use a turquoise marker from Ohuhu. It bled all over my fingers, which was not planned. It also didn't come off. I was trying to wash it off in the sink just after making this title, and it just was there for the entire day. It didn't come off. So that was fun. But yeah, so I just did regular hand lettering like I normally do. I mean, in my reading journal, I often use stickers for the monthly titles, but I feel like I didn't have any stickers that would show up as well as this would, because most stickers, like monthly stickers, they're a lot smaller, and I needed this to be quite large so that it wouldn't disappear in the noise, because there is a lot of noise in the spread, like there's a lot going on. So yeah, that's why I decided to use a very bright turquoise color and letter it on a separate piece of paper and then just glue it on there, because then it has that white edge like a sticker, and that also means that it pops a little bit more from the spread, from the background. So that was the idea here. It's nice that this was for May because it's a short word, so it didn't take up that much space. That's why I could kind of letter it quite large without it being too large. And then I wanted to have a little books I read this month type of title, which I also normally do on my reading journal cover pages. And I started with hand lettering, and then I thought that it just didn't look quite right. So instead I did a kind of bubble letter. These markers are dual tipped, so they have a fine liner on one end and a brush nib on the other. So I just did my regular bubble letters with the fine liner and then colored inside the lines with the brush nib. And then I did go around, like I made a little outline with my Muji gel pen, and I did this for the May title as well, and then I did a little drop shadow with the same gel pen. I always like outlining my titles like this because it makes them pop a little bit more. And I just cut them out and then glued them at the bottom of the page because there was a little bit of empty space there and it kind of fit perfectly there. I was getting so annoyed with how much the marker was bleeding onto my hands, and I'm not sure why, because I used marker paper from Ohuhu, so I don't know if it's just this particular marker, because I don't feel like I've experienced this with their other markers, so maybe it's just this color? I'm not sure. But anyway, the final touches was just like gluing down the titles and everything, and I used a glue tape for this, my Tombow Mono glue tape. It is the best one. I actually ran out while making these spreads and I had to use another glue tape that I got from Panduro here in Oslo, and it was awful. So I really need to get more of the Tombow refills. I just have to find them in a store here. It's kind of hit or miss whether I can find them in an actual store or if I have to order them online. Anyway, a little bit more lemon stickers, and then I called it good. I read 2 books in May, both of them really great books. So I consider May a great reading month because I had so much fun with the books I read. The first book I read is called Under the Whispering Door by TJ Klune. He's written a lot of books, a lot of series, but this is a standalone novel. It is so cute. I've only read 2 books by TJ Klune so far, but what I've noticed is that his writing is very, like, it feels very comforting and safe in a way, if that makes sense. And the characters are very kind. Like, there's so much good in his characters. Even the villains aren't evil, you know? I also think that the atmosphere, just like the general atmosphere in his books, is just very cozy. If I could call it cozy fantasy, that's probably what I would call it. And this novel is really sweet and really touched me, I think. Without spoiling anything, it is about a man who dies and what happens to him after he dies. And he has led a very selfish, not very kind life. And yeah, it is about his afterlife, I suppose, in a way. I don't want to say any more than that. It is fantasy. It is a love story. It is also about friendship. Like, that is a big part of it. Coming to terms with mistakes that you've made in your life. Like, it's a pretty dark and deep topic, but I just think that the whole story is just really sweet. And this is the part where I ran out of my glue tape and I had to get out this new one, which has a detaching lid, which I have already lost because my desk is a mess. But it was so frustrating using this because the glue doesn't come off very easily, so it sticks to itself. I don't even know how to explain it, but it's just not great. So to decorate the spread, I used a lot of blue. I wanted to match the cover somewhat, although I'm using more of a baby blue than the book cover. I had cut out these people that I drew for my patrons a few months ago for my January setup, and I just thought I'd use them. This window is by Henriette Arts. She just sent over some of her stickers for me to try. She's a super talented artist from Norway, so I'm very happy to be able to use some of her stickers. The quote I chose from this book says, "Never forget where you come from, but don't allow it to define you." And I think that's a really beautiful thing. I think we should remember where we come from and our roots and all of that, but not let that hinder us in our self-realization or personal development, you know? For the title, I chose a color that I don't use very much. This is a very lemony yellow color. I tend to go for more warmer yellows, more towards orange than towards green, like this one. But I was looking at the book cover and it's definitely more of a lemon yellow, or a green yellow. And I thought it would look a little bit weird with a warmer yellow on the spread. So just challenged myself a little bit to use this color. And I think that it turned out quite well. It's definitely a huge contrast to all of the blue on the spread. I tend to like yellow and blue together. It is a very fun and bright color combination that I've used a lot in the past as well. So it's not that far outside of my comfort zone. It's just that I don't usually go for these green yellows just because they are so bright and a little bit cold, I think. And I tend to prefer warmer colors. I did a combination of hand lettering with the brush pen and then bubble letters, so kind of staying consistent with the way I did my cover page in a way. I also used some alphabet stickers from Ciara T Designs. She sent these over last month, I think, and I wanted to use these yellow ones. They don't go perfectly with the color of the title, but it's pretty close. So I just did TJ Clune with these alphabet stickers, and then she also sent me some sparkle stickers that I added as little extra details here and there. Just add a little bit more yellow to the spread so that it's not just all blue. I drew little hearts as my rating for the book, and I colored in the hearts with the same yellow marker as the title. I gave this book 5 hearts, or 5 stars if you will. I really enjoyed it. It was such a cozy read, and it took me a while to get through. It was a little bit slow in the beginning, but it was one of those books that I sat down and read a lot of each time I sat down to read it. So a very comforting read, even though it is about death. That makes sense. I definitely think I will pick up more TJ Clune books in the future, because if they have the same feeling and atmosphere as the 2 I've already read, then I'm pretty sure I'm going to enjoy more of them. If you've read Under the Whispering Door yourself, let me know in the comments what you thought of it, if you are of the same opinion as me, or if you have something to add, or if you disagree. I would love to know. And that is it for the spread, so we can now move on to the second book that I read in May. It will not come as a surprise. This is A Kingdom of Flesh and Fire by Jennifer L. Armentrout, and it is the second book in the Blood and Ash series that I started in April. It's always difficult talking about book series without spoiling anything, but all I will say is that I like this series more after reading the second book. It ended on quite the cliffhanger, and I moved straight on to book number 3. So yeah, I think it's safe to say that I really like this series so far. I think that there was a lot of character growth in the main character, Poppy, towards the end of the book, which I was really waiting for. Because as a character, like in the first book, I felt like she was annoyingly naive at some points, but it makes sense because of her upbringing and how sheltered she's been. So I can't really fault the writer for that. It is part of her character. It makes perfect sense. So it's just me being a little bit annoyed at how she can trust some people that I immediately distrusted as a reader. It's always a little bit annoying when that happens, to me at least, but it could also be because like I'm used to main characters like Aelin Galathynius from Throne of Glass, who always outsmarts everyone. And that's just not realistic. And I think Poppy has quite the journey in the second book. Also, Jennifer really turned up the spice level for this book. Like, compared to the first one, there is a lot more spice in the second book. That's probably something you should be aware of if you want to read this book, because not everyone is into that. I quite enjoy it. I think romantasy is really fun, so I don't mind. But again, like I said in my previous reading journal video, this is not a children's fantasy novel, so yeah, there's that. For decoration, I actually kept this spread very simple. I was trying to match the book cover in the sense that It is very neutral in color. It is like white and gray, and it has a little bit of gold in there, but then it's just like black text, a very simple background. And so I decided to hand letter the title with a black brush pen. This is a Tombow Fudenosuke, the soft nib. Do you remember when those were like so popular back in like 2017, 2018, and now I don't see anyone talk about them, but they are still really great. They're some of my favorite brush pens. They're so smooth. I use them a lot. And then I used some washi tapes from Paper Monogatari, just a white and black one, and then a green gingham one, which is in her latest summer collection. I used some girl stickers that I bought in Japan, and then just in general kept it very black and white with a hint of green here and there. And although it's not gold or like orange like the book cover, it's still the same vibe, like the same idea of having a very simple black and white with a hint of color. I'm providing one of my friends with a lot of entertainment while I read this book series because she's read them, I think, several times, these books, and I keep messaging her with updates from where I'm at in the books and my opinions, and she is very good at not saying anything, like not spoiling anything, but I know she's having the time of her life. And I am happy to provide because I know how much fun it is to be on her side of this type of interaction. I gave this book 4 hearts, not because I didn't enjoy it, because I really did. I'm just deducting 1 heart because I felt a little bit annoyed at Poppy sometimes. And yeah, that's what my ratings are for, not for whether I think that the books are literary masterpieces, because I can't be the judge of that. I'm not a writer. So my ratings are purely about my enjoyment of the book, like how much I enjoyed reading the book. Alright, so that is it for the spreads that I made for May in my reading journal. Here is a little flip through as usual to get a closer look at the spreads. And yeah, thank you so much for watching this video. If you watched it all the way to the end, put, what should we do this time? Put a skull emoji in your comment to let me know. Really leaning into the more random emojis lately. But I just think it's fun to see the comment section full of weird emojis. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to click the subscribe button if you want to see more videos like this from me, and be sure to click the like button as well because it really helps me out. I hope that you're all having a lovely day, and I'll see you next time. Bye!